How did some of these San Jose Sharks prospects perform at the World Junior Summer Showcase? Plus, early look at the 2025 draft with Steven Ellis from Daily Faceoff.
You're Locked On Sharks, your daily podcast on the San Jose Sharks, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, welcome to Locked On Sharks, the premier hockey podcast covering your favorite team in the Bay Area. My name is JD Young, caretaker of the Reef, also the co-host of Western Conference Tuesdays on the Locked On NHL channel. I want to thank you for making Locked On Sharks your first listen. Probably part of the Locked On Network. We cover your team every day, or at least 3 days a week right now, as we are in off-season mode. And friend of the show, Steven Ellis, joins you to talk about some of these Sharks prospects at World Junior Summer Showcase and which guys he thinks are kind of locks to make the team, which guys maybe help themselves the most. And we talk a little bit about kind of what to expect for World Juniors and talk about the Hlinka Gretzky Cup, why it's important, and just some names for Sharks fans to keep an eye on as we start to slowly ramp up draft season. So before we get to all that, though, do want to let you know that today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. And now we bring in Steven, who is literally waiting for this to be done so he can start vacation. Steven, how's it going, buddy?
I'm always happy to do these. How are you doing?
Doing well. I know you are looking forward to a very much deserved vacation, but which is now, I guess, is 2 times the tradition. We're going with this as a tradition now. We're having you on to talk about the World Junior Summer Showcase, and we'll also be talking about Hlinka. So we're going to start with Team USA because USA. And we got to talk about Quentin Musty, who was didn't make the Team USA and there was last year a lot of outrage. Like Musty was really good, you could have used Musty, et cetera. Quentin Musty, how did he look, at least in your thoughts, for World Junior Summer Showcase?
I thought he had his ups and downs. I think last year his camp felt a bit more impressive to me. So then when he went on a scoring tear in the OHL and then wasn't included on the final roster, it's like, okay then. And then this year, it's like there's no way they're going to leave him off this time after what the numbers he put up last year in Sudbury, and I expect him to do a lot of the same. I think the one thing that it became kind of clear in these games, though, was that he's going to have to score a lot to be an impact player on this team. And because you look at the group that they got, like that top line is going to be Perreault, Hagens, Leonard. Second line, I want to see Trevor Connolly, Cole Eiserman again. Those guys were great together when they played the top prospects game. And then you throw in Oliver Moore, who's a great playmaker and a good speedster. So then you got to figure out where Musty's going to fit in. And it's like he feels like he's going to be like a third line player on this team, with maybe someone like Danny Nelson as their center. Well, Danny Nelson's not going to be the one driving the play. It'll have to be Musty going out there and getting those points. And so it'll be interesting to see how that's utilized. Like he'll probably play a bit of the power play too, because we know he could shoot, but a lot of other guys can. But right now, I think what showed there is he's really good around the net. He obviously knows how to shoot the puck. He got bullied a lot, though. I will say that, especially in the game against Canada, Sawyer Minio pushed him around a lot. But I do think that what we still see from the way he's control the puck, the way he moves the puck, and the stuff that he did during the OHL season, that there's still a lot to like.
So, I mean, that's a little worrisome to hearing they got bullied, especially for a guy who's, I mean, and again, it's one game, right? You're trying, you don't want to overreact or you don't overreact to something like that. But I mean, because Musty's it's not like he's some little guy. He's, 6'2", 200 pounds. Not what you want to hear of him potentially getting bullied. I know that's something he needs to continue to work on is, kind of puck management and play away from the puck, but something you don't want to hear, right?
At that point, again, it's the one thing is it's summer hockey. They were kind of trying some different lines, but also trying to go out there and beat a guy like Sawyer Minio, who is known to be a pretty aggressive player. Like that wasn't going to be very easy. And actually, I'm currently in the process of sending you a picture on Twitter of him getting speared by Sawyer Minio. And it was a kind of a funny reaction from Musty. But yeah, there you go. I just sent it to you if you want to see it.
I'm definitely making a clip now with this. So, okay, yeah. Okay. We will definitely throw that up when the final recording of this. But okay, so I mean, but you still think like it's hard to envision a team when we get to the actual team in end of December, like a team USA without Quentin Musty on it.
Yeah, like they're gonna have to come up with a pretty good excuse this time because they're not gonna have the exact same scoring depth they had last year. They won't have Will Smith, so guys are gonna have to be playing different roles. I do think that this is someone that's gonna be pretty hard to leave off the roster, and I expect him to be a big part of the team.
All right, another guy who's maybe was kind of thought as an afterthought, but maybe did himself a nice favor this camp. And that's Sharks' former third-round pick, Brandon Svoboda, who's going to be playing in Boston this year. He had himself a pretty solid camp by all accounts.
Yeah, 100%. I think I watched the second half of the tournament really closely with Ryan Kennedy of the Hockey News, and we were talking just like, man, I don't think any player helped their cause more to make the United States roster than Brandon Svoboda. And, you know, I guess what type of role is he going to fit? Is he going to be the 13th forward? Probably. You know, he's just worked his tail off to make that work. I think the one guy that he kind of reminded me of from last year's thing was Gavin Hayes, a Blackhawks prospect who, you know, was a bit of a long shot. Let's see what happens in camp, see if he could move his way up. And all he did was just put a point and produce. And with Svoboda, he was, I think, one of the top scoring players in the entire tournament. Now, granted, you know, a lot of those star players didn't play every game, and they were sitting, like they sent like Ryan Leonard, Gabe Perreault, guys like that home early because they've already played in this tournament. They didn't need them again. But I think that he took the most of the opportunity, and of all the players in the tournament was just one of the better guys. So I think he's going to put himself in conversation for a bottom line 13 forward role. I guess it just kind of has to see how good he starts in the NCAA.
Yeah, I mean, it actually kind of reminds me of another Shark prospect last year, Eric Polkamp, who came into camp as, you know, one of those defensemen maybe, but earned himself a role because of the way he plays, right? And Svoboda's had that experience playing in the USHL kind of, you know, on the third line on a championship team. Last year was playing second line after he got traded to Fargo, but I think a guy who still trying to figure out what type of player he is going forward, but maybe that versatility right now kind of helps him out to carve at least a role, whether it's the 12th or 13th forward. But as a guy, I think that you can kind of depend to go out there to be an energy guy, at least for Team USA, and eat a couple minutes here and there in the bottom lineup, right?
Yeah, 100%. You still need guys like that, and you're not going to win a team with 13 guys who are just trying to dangle everybody. You need the guys that put that work ethic in, and he shows that.
All right, guys, before we get to Team Canada and Team Sweden, we talk about some of these Sharks prospects on there. Just need to take a quick break. Passion, drive, and patience, the formula for winning championships. This also keeps your ride or die alive. eBay Motors is everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to peak performance. Superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, LED headlights, and more. Whether you're into speed, power, or style, eBay Motors has got you covered. With over 122 million parts for your number one ride or die, you'll always find exactly what you're looking for. The eBay Guarantee Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time or your money back. Because with eBay Motors, you're burning rubber, not cash. With all the parts you need, the prices you want, it's easy to make your car the MVP and bring home huge wins. So keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. eBay Guarantee Fit only available to U.S. customers. Let's go over we'll start with Team Canada, who also had two Sharks prospects. We'll start with Sam Dickinson, who I think is close. Like, it feels like he's going to be on this team, right?
Yeah, I'd say he was probably the best overall defenseman for Canada at that tournament. Again, like a lot of those guys didn't come back, no Tanner Molendyke, things like that. But what he was able to show there was that he could just calm things down. Like I tweeted about it a few weeks ago, but it's going to go down in history as one of the best days in San Jose Sharks history. The fact that they were able to land both Macklin Celebrini and Sam Dickinson, who for a big portion of the year I was considering the best defenseman of the draft. And I think there's a certain elements of the game that I like out of some of the guys taken before him, but the fact he fell to where he did, blows my mind that was possible. I think he's a much better defenseman than most people give him credit for. He's got the size, but he's patient, and when he's patient, things happen, and he puts up a ton of points. So I expect him to be a big part of that team's top four.
All right. So, I mean, with Dickinson, right, we know he's going to go back to London because he's also one of the younger kids in the draft. He's going to go back in London, and we'll see what happens. I know Oliver Bonk's kind of one of those guys who could be in the NHL, could go back to the OHL player. But, like, kind of what do you expect for Dickinson going into the OHL, and then expect him to be the top defenseman for Team Canada, or at least the top pairing defenseman for Team Canada?
I think we're looking at, like, it really, really depends. I'm thinking we're probably saying, if I'm picking the team right now, it's Tanner Molendyk, Oliver Bonk, because that top pairing. Maybe you throw in Sam Dickinson as on one side, maybe you put on Zane Parekh on the other side, and then you kind of go from there. But Canada's defense, they really try to structure it where every pairing it's got its strength. Like, they got a guy who can move the puck and a guy who can be defensively strong. I think, for me, it's a lock. He makes the team. I guess it's just like a what role, but I expect him to at least be one of the power play dudes there for him. And I'm not too worried about him missing the team.
Because I mean, we've been kind of lucky with Sharks fans recently with Will Smith, of course, being on Team USA, and we've had guys to root for and on. So it'll be nice again to be able to root for these guys here. And I know. We had Ben Gaudreau a couple years ago on Team Canada, but yeah, it'll be nice to a guy who's going to be playing every night for Team Canada. We got to vicariously root for Macklin Celebrity last year on a bad Team Canada team, but I Team Canada. Do you expect them to be much better this year than compared to last year's team?
I think the last year's team was underwhelming for a few reasons, and part of that was, Matt Savoy was hurt, Jordan Demay was also hurt, so like they were missing. Oh, and then Tanner Molendyk was one of the best defensemen in the CHL, and he didn't get to play. So some really key parts of this team were not part of that group, or didn't play at full pace, which kind of hurt the team. As long as everyone's healthy, the thing about this group is there's no star player. Gavin McKenna might be the closest to pure star player. We just saw him have a pretty average tournament, the Hlinka Gretzky. I think when it comes to this team, it's their scoring depth is going to be really good. Like, I had Carson Raykopf and Matthew Wood at like the bottom of my lineup. Like, Matthew Wood was one of the best players at this tournament last year for Canada, and Raykopf just had over 50 goals. So like that's showing you the kind of the skill this team's going to have. They got a lot of good options here. It's probably, in my opinion, going to come down to Canada versus USA for gold. Okay,
another guy who was on, at least in the summer showcase, but probably not going to make the team, Carson Wet, who the Sharks picked third round this year. Is it just too many names for him to kind of jump?
I kind of forgot he was on at the World Junior Summer Showcase. I'll just make that pretty clear. The thing about Wetch is, I don't think he would have made the U18 team for the couple months ago if, they really wanted Michael Hay, which they should have because of how good of a year he had in the USHL. Definitely a better player than Carson Wetch. But what Wetch does well is he is a hard hitter, he's a power forward, and he's a good skater. And players like that, Hockey Canada like. That's a hardworking guy. Maybe he makes the team next year, but there's just too many players of skill that would be having to leave off. Like Tisha Ginla is one of the guys that have to probably be left off in that case, and I just don't see that happening. So I think he'll be a decent NHL player. I don't think he's a guy that's going to be who should be in the hunt for this team come in December.
No, that makes sense, right? And especially third round pick and role player. He's even projecting as an NHL player. He's probably going to be a high energy third or fourth line guy who kind of maybe add some scoring pop here and there. But yeah, especially with Team Canada, when you have so many options, and what if Mike Greer just galaxy brains it and sends Macklin Celebrity and Will Smith to as a maybe he wants to tank? That would be really fun, but also really terrifying for the Sharks fans to not have.
Here's my idea. Well, why not? They're not expecting the Sharks to be a good team this year. Let them go run for a championship. Probably neither wants to be there, but make it a challenge. Whoever wins gets to be the number one center for the next decade.
There you go. That'll decide it. Or, maybe it's like a parking spot. Whoever gets a better parking spot at Sharks Arena.
Yeah, sure.
Something like that. So.
Bragging rights. Why not?
I just don't want to have to watch Sharks games this year without Macklin Celebrini or Will Smith. I've already done it last year. It was terrible. Do not recommend.
Speaking of Smith, did I tell you did you see my tweets a bit back about Giovanni Smith, watching him play for Jamaica?
Oh yeah, go ahead. So yeah.
Yes, I saw it. Like it was cool because he was the only guy in NHL equipment, but he was playing for Team Jamaica versus Greece in a tournament that I went to, and it was a crazy game, like 100-something penalty minutes. One guy got kicked out for insulting the referee's mustache. Another player got kicked out and then tried to put on like a different jersey. And they were just like, nope. You're not going back on the ice. So it was cool to see Giovanni Smith because it's like you look at the lineups, it's like, okay, some college guys, some D3 guys, some ECHL guys, and this dude who played 36 games in the NHL last year.
I want to know more about the guy who's like putting on the different jersey. That is awesome.
Man, these guys it was funny. Like the hockey was legitimately really good. Like better than most of the Hlinka Gretzky term, I'll tell you that. But the thing about what was cool about that was just that these guys, like it mattered playing for a country that, these guys weren't eligible to play for their country internationally in a meaningful event. But like to represent those colors and what they mean to you, it's like that was pretty cool.
I need to dig into more about the guy getting kicked out and try to I love it because I would do the same type of thing. Just
I don't even know how to like. It was really funny. That was really funny. Like I don't even know how to explain how funny that was.
I'm kind of obsessed with that. I would totally try to do like if I wore like number 13, I would just like number 30, like get the numbers switched or something like that. Like,
the best part was Jamaica. I'm pretty sure they had 3 goalies and they were all number 1, and all the jerseys had just said Jamaica on the back, and it's like who's who.
That's awesome.
So it's like on Elite Prospects. If you see Giovanni Smith's page, I submitted earlier today a picture of him on Jamaica to be his picture.
That's awesome. I love it. Okay. Let's go to Team Sweden. Where Leo Sahlin, Wallenius got to make the team as well.
Yeah, I think so. I think, with the Swedes, that might be the team the Sharks fans should be watching because I think Axel Landon makes it too. I think Leo Sahlin, Wallenius makes it. I think, David Edstrom probably is their number 1 centerman. I love David Edstrom. What a pickup that was for the Sharks. And then maybe they're in the hunt for Anton Frundell, the one of the top prospects for the 2025 draft, and he just played the first game back today, and he's going to be playing for Sweden at the U20 tournament later this month. So very cool to kind of see all the talent that's going to be going there for Sharks prospects. But when it comes to Sahlin Wallenius, I wouldn't say he was the best defenseman on the team, but I noticed him a bit more than a lot of other guys there. I think the big thing was no Axel Sandin Pellikka, no Tom Willander, no Noel Franson. So he had to go there and play a bit of a different role. But I thought that he looked good on the power play. Like a lot of the stuff that we saw him do really well last year. And, from talking to some people who think he's got the edge on Alphonse Frey, where if you ask people about that heading to the U18s, I don't think people say that. So a lot of people were really impressed with just how mature, how smart he was with the puck, wasn't making mistakes. And I'm expecting he's probably going to be a second pairing defenseman, maybe with Tom Willander, but that's a pretty good pairing, I'd have to say.
Yeah, I mean, Team Sweden, they're a lot of Sharks. The Sharks definitely like drafting over there. So I know Edstrom wasn't at the summer showcase, but should be, like you said, top centerman. And we've gotten to see a little bit of Edstrom, with the Sharks getting him at the trade deadline and stuff. But I know he had a pretty solid playoff run for London. I'm curious to see how he does, especially going to be probably playing first line minutes for London this year. But another guy who the Sharks are kind of keeping an eye on, Victor Eklund, who I know a lot of Sharks fans are already circling that Vegas pick. I know Victor Eklund had himself a really nice summer showcase as well, right?
Yeah, he was one of the guys I wrote about the most on my daily who stood out articles, and because he was just, the pucks were going in and things were happening there. I interviewed him after the final game, and I asked, how close are you with your brother? And he says that he'd wake up early, before a game, to try and catch his brother before he goes to bed type thing. And because that's a massive time difference. it's like 9 hours or something like that. So he would try to catch. So they could play each other in NHL online or play Fortnite with each other. So they're really close and grew up being very competitive. And Victor said he's going to be a better player. So there's that. But of course, all younger brothers will say that. But he's a good personality. He's really smart player. Like listening to him talk about some of the ways he was reading the game and how he evaluates other players. Like, this guy is a smart player, and he's had a great shot. Looked good in the penalty kill or power play. Took a couple penalties, but it's because he was aggressive, but I think they were maybe a bit tough calls to make against him, but he plays an aggressive game. He likes to put a lot of power behind things. And I noticed that whenever Sweden needed a goal late in those games, they were putting him on the ice. So that's pretty impressive given he was the youngest player there.
Yeah, I know. I talked to William a couple weeks ago, and I asked for his scouting report on his brother, and he said very competitive, in your face, and very good on his edges. That was his scouting report on his brother. But I know, the competition between the Eklund brothers, it's fierce, but a loving competition, as usually is between siblings. So, yes, rooting for the Eklunds. I know. He also William did said he was going to be a little bit jealous of Victor getting to actually experience the full draft process compared to when he had to go through the COVID draft and just doing it on Zoom and stuff, and that gets it. But conversation for a different day. So, all right, guys, before we finish up with Steven, and we talk about the Hlinka Gretzky Cup and why he thinks the left-handed, right-handed defenseman debate, it's a little overrated. So we'll talk about that here in just 1 second. It's summertime, which of course means baseball season. And if you want to go grab tickets to go see the Giants, A's, or whomever your favorite baseball team is, you need to check out Game Time. Game Time is an authorized ticket marketplace of Major League Baseball, which makes getting tickets faster and easier. Price on the Game Time app actually go down the closer it gets to first pitch. With killer last minute deals, all-in prices, views from your seats, and your lowest price guarantee, Game Time takes the guesswork out of buying MLB tickets. The thing I love about Game Time is, if you're a procrastinator, which I can tend to be sometimes, is they've got you covered. You can find last minute tickets. They have flash deals, zone deals. It's easy to find and buy MLB tickets. Or if you want to go to a concert, comedy show, whatever, they've got you covered. So take the guesswork out of buying MLB tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. Speaking about, I guess, the draft, the 2025 draft, which we had kind of the kickoff with the Hlinka Gretzky Cup. So, one, Steven, why is this one kind of the first important step, I guess, for the 2025 draft? And then two, guys that we should just keep an eye on.
So this tournament's a big deal because, it is a summer tournament, but it's the first time we get to see these guys playing this year. And it's a good way to see like who's worked the hardest in the off season and getting ready for that. But also there's other tournaments that these guys play in. Like there'll be some 4 nations, 5 nations tournaments throughout the year, and then capping it off with a U18 World Championship in April. But when it comes to this, it's like, you're not going to make any big judgments on players. Like Gavin McKenna doesn't suck because he didn't go out there and put 3,000 points up in a game of Switzerland type thing. But it's a good opportunity just to get a good read on everybody. And like I wrote an article with like 120 scouting reports on players. So it was a lot of guys to watch. And the guys that stood out, Matthew Schaefer, Team Canada defenseman, probably one of the best players in this entire tournament. It might be there's an argument to be made. Porter Martone, Anton Frundell are the guys who are the best challengers for James Hagens. I would say Schaefer's got to be in that conversation. He's the best defenseman. He had Jack Ivankovic behind him, a 5'11" goalie, but a super skilled goalie with the Steelheads. Can't wait to watch him a lot this year. And then you look on Adam Benek on the Czech team. He's now the all-time tournament scoring record holder after 2 years of this tournament. And he's a 5'7" player. So there's definitely some questions like, is he going to be strong enough? But from a skill and speed perspective, there's a reason there's still a lot of consideration for him for the first round. And, Sweden had a couple of good guys. Victor Klingsell was good, a guy that's played at Eklund before. So this tournament, it's not the end all be all, but it's still a good opportunity to see these guys all up close at the same time.
I know a lot of Sharks fans are, we got Dickinson, but we still feel like we need that number one right-handed defenseman. And there's some guys I think who kind of made, if you're not going to get Higgins at first, if the Sharks can get James Higgins the first pick, just who are some of these maybe right-handed defensemen maybe that helped themselves a lot?
See, the best right-handed defenseman actually didn't even participate in this tournament. It's like Luka Radivojevich, Logan Hensler, Charlie Trethaway. I'd say, honestly, there wasn't you put it this way, the Sharks should be drafting best player available, and I don't know if you're going to get that from any right-handed defenseman in this draft. That's Charlie Trethaway is a good defenseman. Logan Hensler is a good defenseman. So it really kind of depends on when you're picking, but after that, there's not a lot going for them. So I think that's I would say don't make that a priority this year.
Just keep I mean, that's the Sharks should always just keep picking best player available until you start to compete, and then you need to maybe fill for a little bit. And even then, always just pick best player available, because you never know what your prospect pool is going to look like or how guys are going to develop and stuff.
I will say though, having I still think that right-handed, left-handed defenseman thing is one of the most overrated discussions in scouting. But I will say, because if you're a good defenseman, you can play either side. I don't care what way you shoot. And you see a lot of good players, they'll play their offside. But when it comes to the one of that thing I noticed was looking at Canada's U17 roster they brought to their training camp a few weeks ago, and there were a lot more right-handed defensemen than left-handed defensemen. So we'll see if that's ends up becoming more of a thing. But we'll see.
I know, because a lot of Sharks fans are like, well, Shakir McMillan left-handed, right? Dickinson left-handed, Luca Cagnoni left-handed. A lot of Sharks fans are worried about the prospect pool right side, but again, you'll be good. Like Leo Sahlin Wallenius left-handed, but I've watched him play on his right side a lot too, especially for Team Sweden. Just be good at hockey. They'll figure it out, right?
Yeah, like with Sam Dickinson, I was going through all my pictures today, and I had a lot of pictures of him on the opposite side of the ice than what he shot. So. Just saying, I don't think I care too much. I think it's overrated. I know scouts think it's overrated too. I think the average fan cares way more about which way a player shoots than I'm trying to find my Canada lineup here where I have proof of this. But anyways, I'm not too worried about it.
Okay. Steven, I know you're getting ready you're chomping at the bit for vacation, buddies. So let's get you out of here. What do you got coming out, or what do you have you want to promote right now before you go on vacation?
Well, so my top 300, or not my top 120-ish players article that went up a couple days ago, and so far a lot of good responses to that. And I just posted last week my San Jose Sharks prospect breakdown of the top 10 prospects, and I've got a couple more left. My last one is for Tuesday, I believe. It's going to be the Winnipeg Jets, and then I've got a ranking of all the prospect pools in the league. Let's just put it out here. The San Jose Sharks are in the top 5. Are they number 1? We'll have to find out.
All right. Steven, thank you so much. Also, doing the top 10 Sharks prospects, you have to make a lot of cuts. Like a lot of cuts you did not expect, right?
Oh, yeah, man. It's that was probably the most fun I've had doing one of those things this year, because it's fun when the teams are good, right? Like if you have to make a difficult decision, it's great. Like going to Tampa Bay, and I'm just having to find 10 prospects that I think have a chance of even coming close to
their names and see who comes out. All right.
It's literally like some of these teams, Toronto was a rough one. Boston was a really bad one. It's fun when you get like Anaheim and Buffalo and Carolina, like these teams that are actually interesting to look at. It's not fun when you're getting again the Tampa Bay Lightning, where it's like, oh, this goalie that was like a backup in the AHL is now going to Sweden. Yeah, he's the 8th best guy because there's no one else left.
Yeah,
it's rough, man. It's rough.
Yeah, I did my 10, and like my honorable mentions. I could have done like 10 honorable mentions of just guys you want, because you're drafting this high for this long, you start to rack up some good guys. So, Steven, Thank you so much for your time, buddy. Enjoy vacation. I'm sure we'll talk again really soon. And also, football is better than NASCAR, buddy.
Wrong. That's incorrect. You watch a sport where everyone starts and stops. I watch a sport that's got action. That's
You
great.
drive around in circles, and I'm even from the South, and you drive around in circles.
They say, hey, that argument would have made sense in 1955, not in 2024. Sorry.
All right, buddy. We'll talk again soon.
Thanks so much.
All right. Thanks to Steven for taking some time out before he goes on vacation to talk about some of the Sharks prospects, World Juniors, Summer Showcase, all that fun stuff. So make sure you guys follow. If you're not following Steven, I don't know what you're doing. One of the best in the game when it comes to covering prospects. Friend of the show. He's been great. So make sure you guys follow on that. We'll be back next week. I think we're going to talk some Barracuda. Plenty of good stuff, even though we're in 3 episodes a week. So plenty of good stuff. Make sure you guys are following wherever you get podcasts. And of course, you can watch on YouTube as well. When you guys are done checking out this episode, go check out one of the other great episodes here at Locked On. Of course, you have Locked On NHL, which is still putting out 5 episodes a week. You have Locked On, especially in the Bay Area, Locked On Niners, Locked On A's, Locked On Giants, Locked On Warriors. So when you're done checking out Locked On Sharks, go check out one of those episodes. Of course, you can also follow Locked On Sharks on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at Locked On Sharks. Follow me on Twitter at MyFryHole. Until next week, bye, friends.